presentation that I have prepared. Before I do, I want to thank you for coming. It's my pleasure and privilege to share with you these words of glorification of our spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. Today I have prepared to speak or to express a poem that Śrīla Prabhupāda wrote. He wrote it at Boston Harbor, September 18th, 1965, when the ship that he was on docked in Boston Harbor. And it reveals his heart in no uncertain terms. And it also reveals what we all have to aspire to, what we all have to strive for, the kind of mood, the feelings, the love, the dependency on Krishna. It's just so beautiful. If one reads this every day, he will become overwhelmed with the beautiful verse 1857 of the Bhagavad Gita. As Krishna says, in all activities, excuse me, my neck is tight. In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. So Śrīla Prabhupada demonstrates, illustrates, expresses in this poem the perfection of that verse. And as I said, if we all try our best to first read this again and again, so that the expression that Śrīla Prabhupada is offering us becomes so deeply immersed in our conscious and subconscious mind, we too will depend upon Krishna consciously the way he has. And if we do that, this is pure Krishna consciousness. So I will begin with no further ado. The name of the poem is Markine Bhagavat Dharma, and what it means is preaching Krishna consciousness in America. Again, I will say Markine Bhagavata Dharma, preaching Krishna consciousness in America. Yeah, if you can keep the obeisances a little quieter, thank you so much, because it interferes with my thought process. Sorry. So, my dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it, but I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible, because you are the most expert mystic. How will they be able to understand the mellows of devotional service? Oh Lord, I am simply praying for your mercy so that you will be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy by your will. And therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation, and if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. Sorry. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verses 17 to 21, quote, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regularly hearing the Bhagavatam and rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is practically destroyed, and loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. At the time loving service is established in the heart, the modes of passion, rajas, at the time loving service is established in the heart, the modes of passion, rajas, and ignorance, tamas, and lust and desire, kama, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes truly happy. Thus established in the mode of goodness, the man, rejuvenated by loving service to the Lord, gains liberation from material association, or mukti, and comes to know scientifically of the personality of Godhead. Thus the knots of the heart and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruit of actions, karma, is terminated when one sees the self, God, as master. He will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. How will I make them understand the message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. This is his humility. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable to their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel engladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance. O Lord, make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. Signed, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar on board the ship Jaladuta, Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, dated 18th of September, 1965. So this is our philosophy, what we must live and what we must die for. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
So this year I was asked to write the Vyāsa-pūjā offering to Śrīla Prabhupāda for the North American BBT. Dear Śrīla Prabhupāda, please accept our humble obeisances, all glories to your divine grace on the occasion of your Vyāsa-pūjā. You are the representative of Śrīla Vyasadeva, who is the author of the Śrīmad Bhagavatam, the topmost Vedic literature. You have mercifully given us at the BBT this sublime text and others to care for, just like you have given other followers of yours deities to care for. This is in some sense literally true, because Śrīmad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is stated in the Śrīmad Bhagavatam itself. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishraya Shayalokasya Danyam Swastyayanam Mahat. Quote, the scripture named Śrīmad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by Śrīla Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. End quote. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 1:340. In one of your lectures, you said, of course, here we don't find such facility, but India, where we speak on the Bhagavad Gita or on the Śrīmad Bhagavatam, we worship regularly with flour, with other paraphernalia required for worshiping. You see? And in Sikh religion also, they have no deity form of the deity, but they worship the book, Grantha Sahib. It's a Śrīmad Bhagavatam class in San Francisco in 1967. In another lecture you said, and it was worshipped in the temple in Delhi, Shastra. Not that it is available everywhere. It has become, now press has made very cheaper, but we should always understand that granthas, or the scriptures, should be worshipped as God. That is sound incarnation of God. It should not be neglected. Don't neglect Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavat as ordinary books. You must be very careful. As you take care of the deities, you should take care of the books also. Śrīmad Bhagavatam, December class, December 1974, Bombay. You have entrusted us at the North American BBT with the responsibility of keeping your books in print and in distribution in this part of the world. Originally in India, before you came to the West, you were doing the service of translating the Śrīmad Bhagavatam and arranging for its printing and sales all by yourself. Now we find ourselves in the position of assisting you at this time when you are no longer manifesting your physical presence. You did not come to the West until you had the first canto of Śrīmad Bhagavatam published in 3 volumes. And when you arrived here, you continued to translate and publish and distribute further cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is your greatest gift to us and the world. The Srimad Bhagavatam itself says, Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo namatsaranam satam Vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimva Parayar Ishvara Sadyo Hridyavarudite Tra Kritibi Shushubis Tatchanat. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavat Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality, distinguished from illusion, for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyāsa-deva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the messages of the Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Bhagavatam 112. Śrīla Prabhupāda, you are the pure representative of Vyāsa-deva, and you have given us this Bhagavat Purana, which is sufficient for establishing Krishna within our hearts. You are very merciful to us, even though we are not very much qualified. Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pukasha Abira Shumba Yavana Kasadaya Yen Yen Chapapa Yadapashraya Shraya Shudyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. Kiratas, Hunas, Andras, Pulindas, Pukashas, Abiras, Shumbas, Yavanas, and members of the Kasa race, and even others addicted to sinful acts, can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, due to his being the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4.15. Because you have kindly allowed us to take shelter of you, we are becoming a little purified. By accepting us as your disciples and grand disciples, you are also behaving as the representative of Śrīla Vyāsa-deva. As Diksha Guru or Shiksha Guru, you are the Guru of us all. On this day of your Vyāsa-pūjā, we thank you for allowing us to continue to assist you in your service to your spiritual master, Śrīla Vyāsa-deva and Lord Krishna, your servants at the North American BBT in Los Angeles. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai.
Next, we'd like to have Balai Mataji speak. As you may notice, we do have a package of disinfectant wipes. If you're concerned about the cleanliness of the microphone, please feel free to take one and wipe it down before you speak. Also, one may sit on the Vyāsa-san or the chair that's next to it. Your choice. Don't. Everybody's free to make a choice. I don't want to force anybody to sit on the Vyāsa-san if they don't want to.
Okay, I'm not good at mic, so tell me if I need to do something differently. Okay. This good? Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Govani Pacharini Nirvisesa Sunyavari Pashtata Dasatarne. I would first also like to read a poem that Srila Prabhupada wrote. Adore, adore ye all the happy day, blessed than heaven, sweeter than May, when he appeared at Puri, the holy place, my Lord and Master, his divine grace. O my Master, the evangelic angel, give us thy light, light up thy candle. Struggle for existence, a human race, the only hope, his divine grace. Misled we are, all going astray. Save us, Lord, our fervent pray. Wonder thy ways, to turn our face, adore thy feet, your divine grace. Forgotten Krishna, we fallen soul, paying most heavy the illusion's toll. Darkness around, all untraced, the only hope, his divine grace. Message of service thou hast brought, a healthful life as Chaitanya wrought. Unknown to all, it's full of grace. That's your gift, your divine grace. Absolute ascension thou hast proved, in personal calamity thou hast moved. This gives us a life, anew and fresh. Worship thy feet, your divine grace. Had you not come, who had told the message of Krishna, forceful and bold? That's your right, you have the mace. Save me a fallen, your divine grace. The line of service as drawn by you is pleasing and healthy like morning dew. The oldest of all, but in a new dress, miracle done, your divine grace. Then my offering. So this is my offering. Dear Srila Prabhupada, I offer my most humble obeisances at your transcendental lotus feet. You wrote in a letter to Kadamba Kanana on December 8th, 1975, quote, "The mercy of the spiritual master is always there, but we have to take it. Just like the sun, it is there for everyone, but we at least have to stand in a receptive place to get the benefit. You came and personally grabbed us and lovingly, practically forced us to take your mercy, to put us in that receptive place. You conquered us by your love and devotion to your spiritual master and to Lord Krishna, and by your love for us. Thank you for your divine books. Thank you for all your instructions in your lectures and letters. Thank you for your kirtans and bhajans. It is inconceivable how you did so much in such a few short years, and you always remained above the material qualities and always completely dependent on Krishna's mercy. Thank you for giving us the knowledge how to differentiate spirit from matter. Thank you for giving us the means to remember Krishna always by chanting his holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you for teaching us what good qualities are and for personally exemplifying each one in full, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 16:1-3. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, nonviolence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities of Son of Bharat belong to godly men endowed with divine nature." End quote. Just as Lord Krishna cannot be seen by ordinary eyes, but by transcendental eyes, so you gave us this transcendental vision to be able to see Lord Krishna's pure devotee. You are not an ordinary person to be seen or recognized by material senses. Your quality of unexpected mercy was shown to so many. I once made a Prabhupada hat for you, and you accepted it and started wearing it. It was actually too large for you, but you wore it for a long time. There are so many photos with you wearing this hat. So for a little gift, you bestowed so much mercy on me. I beg to eternally be eternally engaged in service at your lotus feet. Your humble servant, Balai Dasi. And I just wanted to read one more from the online tributes book. Oh, wait a second. This is Vijayānanda's offering, which I thought was very ecstatic. I know I don't know if he'd left already, but he's on the verge of leaving his body. Dearest Prabhupada, please accept my dandavats at your lotus feet. All glories to you, my dear master. A brother asked me to tell him how I feel about you in my life. He said, Hare Krishna, dear Vijayānanda Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. When you have time, please text me or email me with your few appreciations of and gratitude toward Śrīla Prabhupada so that we can adopt your sentiments in our lives. Your servant, Pran Govindadas. So here's Vijayānanda's reply. Mostly, I just remember that Prabhupada saved me, and he continues to save me every day. I don't need anything more flowery than that. This is my entire message of gratitude to Prabhupada. Thank you very much. You saved me once upon a time by coming to America and spreading the love of Sri Sri Radha Shyam in the divine form of Lord Chaitanya, accompanied by Lord Nityananda. You continue to save me every day by filling my heart, guiding my mind, and being my ever well-wisher. Prabhupada, thank you for hearing my simple words. Bless me to please you. I pray to be your disciple one day and to rejoin you soon as a helper as you continue your seva mission wherever you are. Jai Prabhupada, Hare Krishna, I love you. Jai, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother Balai.
Thank
Mr. Vas Prabhu, who can speak next? Before he starts, I just want to explain, because there's a copy of the book there, and everybody was told there's no book this year. Just let me explain that. I made the book at the BBT, and we decided we weren't going to print it because of the pandemic and trying to get it all around the world, and nobody maybe was going to have Vyāsa-pūjā gatherings. But the Australian BBT contacted me and said, if you send us the files, we would like to do a short run just for our congregation. So I did. I sent them the files, and they sent us 2 copies. One we have at the BBT permanently, and this one for the temple. So if Savas is willing, he can pass it around to everybody to look at, but that's the only printed copy here. So please don't walk off with it. Hare Krishna.
If anyone would like helpy selfie.
Jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastai Budale Sri Marabhati Vedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Dem Gauravani Bicharane Nirvase Sunyavari Paskachadi Satarane Śrīla Prabhupāda Ki Jai. So, this is always one of my favorite days, especially here in New Dwarkadam, because Śrīla Prabhupada considered this at one time to be his Western world headquarters. And we still try to think of it in that perspective. And from this particular spot here, so many things were accomplished and so many things were started here in New Dwarkadam. And book distribution, deity worship, devotee care, and so many things were instituted here. And of course we have Śrīla Prabhupāda's quarters upstairs. And all these things are actually, when you think about them here so many years later, it was actually really amazing. It's like transcendental. It's just, how is it that it just happened so small, and now today it's come to like 650 temples around the world. At this point, about 500 plus million books distributed around the world. Something like 82 languages or plus that in Prabhupada's books. Just phenomenal. And it all began here in a lot of perspective way. It was here. People would come, devotees would come here to learn. So having that, we can see that today here's a very special day for us. We should be thinking and remembering about Śrīla Prabhupada and how he began here and how he wanted things to expand throughout the world. And it actually happened. So this is a wonderful day to remember Śrīla Prabhupada and his accomplishments. And maybe we should be thinking about what we can do also for Śrīla Prabhupada. What little bit can we offer? We have words that we can give Prabhupada, those are nice. But we should also be thinking about what we can give Śrīla Prabhupada in terms of our heart. And take his instruction with our heart, with our soul, and see what we can actually do to increase his mission. Okay, so I wrote a little offering. I'll just read it. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Budale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paskacha Desatarine. On this most auspicious occasion of your appearance day, please accept my humble obeisances. Just a few months ago, I was visiting Sridham Mayapur for the Gaur Purnima festival, and I was overcome with emotion in seeing the temple of the Vedic planetarium. I was also struck by how sincere and dedicated the devotees are in glorifying and fulfilling your desires in spreading this movement around the world. The mood was surcharged with happiness in chanting the holy names, dancing together, and ecstatic feelings of love for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. When I visited your samadhi, I felt a sense of joy and fulfillment that inspired within me the desire to become more immersed in your mission. So I am now reading your books more than I used to, and it has opened my eyes even more to your purity, your perfect knowledge, and your total surrender to the mission of your spiritual master, Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. Who can understand the wonderful characteristics of a pure devotee? When we think of you, Śrīla Prabhupada, we are simply amazed and our hearts fill with respect and great affection for you. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna proclaims who his most confidential servant is. Chapter 18, text 68-69. For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. On so many occasions, you have told us that if we can educate people to surrender unto Krishna, that is the best service to Krishna. You would quote Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Yare Dekatarak Kaha Krishna Rupadesh. Excuse me. Amara Agyaya Guru Hana Tara Edesh. You would encourage us to simply request everyone to chant the Maha Mantra and preach the message of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. That one should also give up all nonsense engagements and surrender to Krishna. That is the best service. Krishna wants that all these bewildered living entities who have come here to enjoy material happiness to be given information that this is not a good plan. Therefore, all the Shastras, Vedic literatures, and great saintly persons like you, Śrīla Prabhupada, simply come to give us a hint how we can make spiritual advancement in life. They don't come to teach us how to become materially comfortable. Śrīla Prabhupada, you also taught us that real progress means to make progress in religious concepts of life. You would say that our material comforts according to our bodies are already settled up, and we cannot improve it, but we can improve our spiritual advancement in this life. Śrīla Prabhupada, you are a real Mahatma because you are broad-minded and a great soul under the control of Daivi Prakriti. Daivim Prakritim Asritaha. You had no other motive but to render service to Krishna. It was not about an exchange or some gain, simply to serve Krishna. This was exhibited by your tireless efforts, and today the chanting of the holy names resounds throughout the whole world. Millions of your books have been distributed worldwide, and thousands are joining the Krishna consciousness movement through your transcendental purports, and many more will come in the future. Bhavad Vidha Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Svayam Vibho Tirti Kurvanti Tirtani Svanta stena gadabritaha. My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart and you turn all places into places of pilgrimage. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:13-10. On this auspicious day, I pray for your causeless mercy on this fallen soul so that I may fix my mind, body, and soul on your instructions in serving your mission. Your eternal servant, Savasdas. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada, and your never-ending love that you have showered on all of us. I'm always in awe when I try to understand and glorify you. Srila Prabhupada, what you have done and accomplished is beyond a miracle. You have shown us by example how to love and serve the spiritual master, how to love and serve the Vaishnavas, and how to love and serve Lord Krishna. This is the perfection of our lives. I beg to become serious and steadfast in my service to you, and I pray to be eternally situated at your loving lotus feet. Your servant, Jagajanani Dasi.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharne Nirvisesa Sunyavari Paschati Desatarane. I first met your devotees preaching on the street, performing kirtan, giving your books to everyone they'd meet. One boy said, "Come join us and give us a hand. You'll be blissful if you chant and become a Prabhupada man." I heard you speak in the park at the House of Flowers, condemning gross materialists, impersonalists, and those allured by mystic powers. Absorbed by your style, the spark was being fanned. It seemed like a very attractive proposition to be a Prabhupada man. We all went out on Sankirtan, only one man stayed at the temple. Your books went out profusely and gave the masses the spiritual example. The funds built international projects and purchased preaching vans to expand the numbers of fallen souls transformed into Prabhupada men. It was obvious the world began feeling the weight of this movement. They cried, "Brainwash." You said, yes, the cleansing of their brain needs improvement. Farms, restaurants, and other cultural products were added to your camp. The temples were overflowing. Everyone wanted to be a Prabhupada man. We thought you'd personally be here forever. Your association was so sweet. Every year in Mayapur and Vrindavan, we'd all walk with you on the street. But Krishna needed you elsewhere. It was obviously his plan to give another planet of people the chance to become a Prabhupada man. Before you left, you instructed your disciples to carry on the legacy. For 10,000 years to come, the law books, your books will be. You said, just cooperate together to spread Krishna consciousness in your land. All programs will increase if you remain a Prabhupada man. Now, many years later, the preaching is still strong throughout most of the planet, especially the countries where devotees are still book distribution fanatic. Of course, there is difference of opinion. That's how the material world stands. But nothing will be successful unless one's empowered to be a Prabhupada man. They say that you can judge a tree by its fruit tasting sweet, and all the devotees that I see actually attached to your lotus feet are carrying on the sampradaya like a mango, handed hand to hand, given hand to hand, because we all have the fortune of someday becoming a genuine Prabhupada man. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai.
David Ahiti, Mataji.
It's the mother in me.
You know what? Then I'll just bring this here. It seems everybody wants a chair, so.
Okay. Most of us were searching for the truth. We were protesting material life. Śrīla Prabhupada was the magical genie that appeared. My first connection to Śrīla Prabhupada was on the back of the Happening album. The picture of Śrīla Prabhupada convinced me that he was my spiritual master. He chanted the Maha Mantra with a short lecture explaining its meaning. My good fortune came shortly afterwards in 1971 at the San Francisco Rath Yatra, when his glance captured my heart. From then on, my only ambition was to be part of his movement. The next encounter was Henry Street, Brooklyn Temple, where he visited and showered his young followers with so much loving kindness and mercy, where he formed his army to help all conditioned souls and carried out his orders from his spiritual master. After Henry Street, we exited to the Grand Los Angeles Temple, New Dwarka. Śrīla Prabhupada had his headquarters there and stayed sometimes for 3 months, translating his books and strengthening our faith. The women with children had extra mercy since we weren't allowed to be in the temple room during the lectures. He was loving and generous with the children. Cookie time was after his lectures. We all lined up with our children as he gave each child a cookie. My daughter still remembers his loving exchange through the cookie connection. We really received his loving exchanges in abundance. This mercy of love is unlimited and still pervades. Yes, Śrīla Prabhupada's instructions are deep-rooted and is a constant reminder of the truth. We can pass on this love, which we all experienced. Śrīla Prabhupada saw the soul within the body, our true selves. That was a connection, soul to soul. He tried to help us realize our true nature and encourage any service that could help him in his mission. Śrīla Prabhupada is a true master acharya, and only he can transform our low births. Śrīla Prabhupada resides in my heart. His love and instructions play a tape in my thick brain. By his mercy, I take shelter of his lotus feet. My prayer is not to forget him, and that the next generation will take his instructions seriously through his books. Everything you predicted is coming true, Srila Prabhupada. You said the cities would become a bloodbath, and we should be self-sufficient. Hope that it's not too late to carry out your orders. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you.
Brigapati Prabhu.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvashesha Sunyavadi Paschacha Deshatarne. So I wrote an offering for the Vyāsa-pūjā book, but I prefer not to read that. I'm just going to read a few sentences from a purport from the Bhagavad Gita and just say a few words about that. So I'm reading from the last purport of the 11th chapter. This is text 55. And Prabhupada says, a devotee of Krishna is friendly to everyone. Therefore it is said here that he has no enemy, nirvaira. How is this? A devotee situated in Krishna consciousness knows that only devotional service to Krishna can relieve a person from all the problems of life. He has personal experience of this, and therefore he wants to introduce this system, Krishna consciousness, into human society. There are many examples in history of devotees of the Lord who risked their lives for the spreading of God consciousness. The favorite example is Lord Jesus Christ. So, you're not supposed to disagree with your spiritual master, but my favorite example is Śrīla Prabhupāda. And I really see like a parallel in the lives. You know, Prabhupada's mentioning Jesus Christ. Here's the example of somebody who sacrificed their life for spreading God consciousness. So, you know, in what sense? Well, you know, he was preaching, and he understood that if he continued preaching, it was going to be problems for him. And, you know, but he didn't stop preaching. He could have left. He could have stopped preaching and left, and probably would have been all right. But he just decided, no, I'm going to continue to preach, and of course we know what happened. So there's an analogy there. Like Prabhupada, he had, when he came, he had 2 heart attacks on the boat coming over, and 1 year later he had a stroke. So Prabhupada knew something about health. You know, he was a pharmacist, he knew about health. And he understood, you know, that by choosing the lifestyle he was choosing, which was to frequently travel, if not constantly travel, and preach, and minimize his sleep, minimize his eating. You know, he lived a very austere life. He understood that was not the lifestyle that was going to be most conducive to you know, allowing him to enjoy, give him the optimum chance to enjoy a good quality of health to a ripe old age. He knew that. So he made a choice, and he made a choice to sacrifice his comfort, his health, and basically his life, his life in that body, for the purpose of attempting to give the human race, Krishna consciousness. So, his motive was he just was trying to execute the instruction of the mission of his spiritual master, and the nature as a compassionate mission, as a mission of compassion. So Prabhupada understood that. So 2 qualities I just, wanted to highlight in my appreciation of Śrīla Prabhupada was that, he definitely he knew what he was doing. He sacrificed his life to spread Krishna consciousness, and he didn't do it in just a mechanical way. He really cared. He did it. He was really caring about the people he was trying to give Krishna consciousness to. I listened to a lot of, recorded audio of Prabhupada, and just the other day I heard one that I'd never heard before. It was Prabhupada was in Melbourne, and he was in that room, the Prabhupada room they have some nice room in Melbourne Temple there, and the devotees brought a couple of Mormon missionaries in to see him. And these Mormon missionaries are about 20 years old, and so they were talking with Prabhupada, and the thing that really amazed me was Prabhupada gave them about 45 minutes to an hour, and they did a lot of the talking. Prabhupada a couple times he challenged them on some points, but Prabhupada let them do a lot of the talking, and the whole time I was just sitting there listening to the whole thing. It's the first time I'd ever heard that one, and I was just marveling how patient Prabhupada was and how compassionate he was being by doing that, because, on other occasions, if somebody had the wrong, he must have sensed that they had some sincerity there, some innocence and sincerity, because, on other occasions, if Prabhupada could sense that somebody was challenging or didn't have the right attitude, he could just, he could say 2 or 3 words and that would be the end of it, But Prabhupada gave these guys like 45 minutes to an hour. At the end of the whole thing, they offered him a Book of Mormon, which Prabhupada accepted, and then Prabhupada gave him a Bhagavad Gita in exchange. And I was just, you have to hear it. But, that and so many other instances, so many other examples of how Prabhupada, he sacrificed his life to, give people God consciousness, and he did it with a lot of love. He really cared, and you could feel that when it's more, when you read his words, but when you could, anyway, the more you kind of read what Prabhupada has to say and hear him speak, and the more you can sense that it wasn't mechanical. He was really doing it with a lot of love. So that's the 2 points I wanted to appreciate about Śrīla Prabhupada today. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Naikatma Prabhu.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthapavale Śrīmati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vacharnini Vishesha Sunyavani Pastatari Shatarani. So I didn't have time, and I didn't write anything, and plus I didn't think I really had anything meaningful to say. But I did want to hear how the Vaishnavas were glorifying Śrīla Prabhupada and all he's done for them in their lives. I think I do remember that prior to coming to Krishna consciousness, I was always trying to find something that was meaningful, or I would try and look for people who could offer something meaningful. But when I saw Śrīla Prabhupada, and of course I met his devotees prior, which was something very, very meaningful for me. And then I could understand later on at a certain date that this was coming from Śrīla Prabhupada, because he was offering something that was very meaningful, that would make not only an impression, but a feeling of purpose. So I'm very grateful that Śrīla Prabhupada's created this wonderful society, that he's filled it with so many meaningful people, and I hope that someday I can do something that will be very meaningful to him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next is Rudradev Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So this morning I wanted to offer a song to Śrīla Prabhupāda, one that I wrote several years ago in Belgium with my then band, Jaladuta Band. And I wrote all the lyrics and helped with some of the music. And my friend, Bhakta Eric, he wrote all the music, the rest of the music, and did the arrangement and also the vocal. So you don't have to worry, you don't have to, I'm not singing on it, so you don't have to run out of the temple room. But I think I was playing bass guitar on this recording, so it's called You Are the Only One. You are the only one.
Our lives depend on how well we follow you, always. You are the only one we need to remember. You are the only one who can lead us to Lord Krishna's soul. Śrīla Prabhupāda, we are grateful.
Hare Krishna. So we're getting close to Pushpanjali time. I'm going to read my offering. This will be very short, and then we'll end with Subhas reading Bhajan Narayan Maharaj's offering. Hare Krishna. So before I start, I'd like to apologize. I know there were some Prabhupada disciples living outside who wanted to come today to make an offering, but the decision was made, and I think rightfully so, that due to the pandemic, only the devotees living in the block. We didn't want to overflow, and we've been very fortunate. Many devotees here have been tested. We have not had any positive cases yet, so we should be thankful. I think the management has taken the right approach of social distancing and wearing masks everywhere and everything. So, and you don't have to get up because I'm the only one who's used it since it was bypassed. So, okay. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshtarane. So as you all know, there's been a Prabhupada offerings book written every year for the last 10 years or so that's not done by the BBT, so that those who couldn't fit into the BBT book had a place to go. Normally I don't write for that book, but somehow or other this year Jayadvaita Maharaj pressured me, you must write something, so I wrote something, so this is it. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, my eternal master. My connection to you began when I received a copy of Krishna, the Reservoir of Pleasure, from Devamrita Das Brahmachari in 1973. The first two sentences of that pamphlet, Krishna, this sound is transcendental, Krishna means the highest pleasure, made it clear to me that your mission was to give Krishna to others. By your grace, my connection to you strengthened as I listened to your lectures and engaged in service at the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, your main channel for distributing consciousness of Krishna to others. Even one as dull as me could appreciate your dedication, determination, and patience in the matter of spreading Krishna consciousness, and thus I continue to give some of my time and energy to assisting you in your tireless efforts. In your purport to Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 28, Text 51, you state, quote, when one becomes serious to follow the mission of the spiritual master, his resolution is tantamount to seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As explained before, this means meeting the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the instruction of the spiritual master. This is technically called Vani Seva. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states in his Bhagavad Gita commentary on the verse Vyāsa-yatmaka buddhir ekeha kurinandana, that's Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 text 41, that one should serve the words of the spiritual master. The disciple must stick to whatever the spiritual master orders. Simply by following on that line, one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead. End of quote. In a letter to Gargamuni Prabhu, you wrote, quote, certainly you are mine, and I am Krishna's, therefore you are also Krishna's. In the Krishna consciousness activities, that is the process. End of quote. There is no doubt that to be in your presence is tantamount to being in the presence of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Therefore, I am hopeful that in the future, despite my deep-rooted recalcitrance, I will be admitted into your association in the spiritual world. The remains of the form that you exhibited in your ISKCON Leela are interred in Vrindavan, land of Krishna. Having only experienced association with that form, I wonder how I will recognize your original spiritual form when that day finally arrives. Your eternal servant, Archita Das.
Hare Krishna. So I thought we should just read Bhajan Narayan Maharaj's offering, since he is our GBC for the Western Zone. We had a couple other offerings, but unfortunately due to time factor, we won't be able to read them. They're from devotees outside our community. Okay. Dear Śrīla Prabhupāda, Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Buddhale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskachadi Satarane. You told the story of a man who was blind, poverty-stricken, and childless. He was given one wish. What to wish for? He had 3 problems and only one remedy. and he was restricted from wishing for unlimited wishes. You said he wished to see his children from the roof of his palace. Thus he was granted sight, wealth, and children, all in one stroke. As a conditioned soul, I was roaming this world with unlimited desires. I had so many plans and dreams, but none of them delivered the promised results. None of them delivered lasting happiness, peace, or satisfaction. None of them did any real good for the world. As you said in a lecture, quote, not only do we, the conditioned souls, not know the right answers, we don't even know the right questions, end of quote. In answer to my searching, you have given me the goal, Krishna, along with the ways and means to reach him, pure devotional service. Gajendra prays, quote, I know that persons who are pure devotees and have, by serving the lotus feet of great souls, become freed of all material desires, are always merged in the ocean of transcendental bliss, and as such, are always satisfied simply by glorifying your auspicious characteristics. For them, there is nothing else to aspire to or pray for. Srimad Bhagavatam 8:320. End of quote. The wives of Kaliya prayed, Dear Lord, the dust of your lotus feet is very wonderful. Any person who is fortunate enough to achieve this dust does not care for heavenly planets, lordship over all the planetary systems, the mystic perfections of yoga, or even liberation from material existence. In other words, anyone who adores the dust of your feet, lotus feet, does not care a fig for all other perfectional stages. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:16-37. When you were incorporating your fledgling ISKCON, some suggested that instead of naming it the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, you should use a more universally understood term, the International Society for God Consciousness. But you rejected this suggestion, saying that this was precisely your mission, to teach people that Krishna was in fact the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, and the Absolute Truth. The Absolute Truth is realized in 3 phases of understanding by the knower of the Absolute Truth, and all of them are identical. Such phases of the Absolute Truth are expressed in Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. This came from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:2-11. I can never repay you for giving me the vision and understanding that Krishna is present in every atom, in everyone's heart, and simultaneously has his own form, place, and pastimes. Those who understand the inconceivable, impersonal Absolute will find that pure transcendence in their hearts. That is not, however, what is in our hearts. In our heart resides the charming, lotus-faced, lotus-eyed person who wears golden garments and whose complexion is the color of a dark rain cloud. This came from Rupa Goswami Padyavali, text 77. Let me stay forever under the shelter of your lotus feet and always engaged in Krishna's sublime service. Your servant, Badri Narayan Swami Ki Jai. Śrīla Prabhupāda Ki Jai. Shri Vyāsa-pūjā Ki Jai.
Okay, everybody, please approach Śrīla Prabhupāda with flowers in your hands. Yeah, well, we're not going to start throwing flowers right away. We have to start chanting. It's not the last 3 minutes. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsya Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Praganathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Mitangsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Varshavanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhuryojvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostate Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudapasiddhanta Dvantaharine Namo Gorakishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipalambha Rasambhode Padambujaya Te Namaha Namo Bhaktivinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gora Shakti Sarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gora Virbhava Bhumestvam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priyaha Vaishnava Sarvabhoma Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gora Tushe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatang Surato Pango Mama Manda Matergati Matsarvasva Padam Bhojo Radha Madanamohano Divyad Brindaranya Kalpadrumadha Srimad Ratnagara Singhasanasto Srimad Radha Śrīla Govinda Devo Prishtalivi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasarasarambi Vangsivata Tatastitaha Karshan Venu Sonai Gopir Gopinatha Shristunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So now we're going to do Prabhupada's pranam mantras 3 times. After each time we offer flowers and we pay our obeisances. Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Esha Pushpanjali. Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Esha Pushpanjali. Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Esha Pushpanjali.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Samsara dava nararira loka Chanaya karunya gana ganatam Praptasya gayana gunaravasya Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinda Mahaprabhu Kirtanamrita Gita Varitramadyan Manasurasena Mahaprabhu Kirtanamrita Gita Varitramadyan Romanchagapajrutarangavajo Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinda Shivigrada Dharanityanana Shingaratan Mandira Majanado Vigrahana Yuktasya Bhaktam Chani Unjatopi Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinda Chatuvidha Sri Bhagavat Prasadan Swadana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangam Kritaiva Triptim Bhajadaksadaya Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinda Shirarika Madhave Urapada Madhuyalira Gunarupanam Nam Pratikshana Swadana Lolubhasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Nikunja Juno Radikali Siddhai Yayal Yuktira Vexaniya Tradrati Daksha Dati Valavasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Sakshadharitena Samasta Shastre Uktastatava Vyataiva Sadvi tu pavorya priya eva tasya bande guru si charanarvindam. Yasya prasadam bhava prasadam yasya prasadam nagati gatopi. Yasya prasadam bhava prasadam yasya prasadam nagati gatopi. Tayang stuvang stasya shastri sanjam bande guru si charanarvindam. Bande guru si charanarvindam bande guru si charanarvindam. Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam. Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam. Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam. Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam. Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Vandhanve savadhana mate. Vandhanve savadhana mate. Jara prasade vai bhavatari aja. Jara prasade vai bhavatari aja. Krishna prapti hoy jaite. Krishna prapti hoy jaite. Guru Mukha Padma Bhaktya Chitete Koriyaikya. Guru Mukha Padma Bhaktya Chitete Koriyaikya. Anakori hamane asha. Adanakori hamane asha. Shri Guru Charana Nirati Aise Uttama Gate. Shri Guru Charana Nirati Aise Uttama Gate. Jai Prashade Bure Sarva Asha. Jai Prashade Bure Sarva Asha. Chakudana dilo jai janme janme Prabhu se. Chakudana dilo jai janme janme Prabhu se. Divya gyari de prakasito. Divya gyari de prakasito. Preme bhakti jaoite avidya vinasha jote. Preme bhakti jaoite avidya vinasha jote. Vidigai jara charito. Vidigai jara charito. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adhama Janara Bandhu. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adhama Janara Bandhu. Lokena Lokera Jivana. Śrīla Prabhupāda Lokera Jivana. Ha Prabhu Karo Daya Deha More Vanachaya. Ha Prabhu Karo Daya Deha More Vanachaya. Ebe Jas Guso Tribhuvana. Ebe Jas Guso Tribhuvana. Śrīla Prabhupāda Patita Pavana. Jayo Prabhupāda Patita Pavana. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paskatare Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hare Nitai. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hare. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hare. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hare. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannatha, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra. Hey, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra. Jai Rukmini Dwarkadis, Rukmini Dwarkadis, Rukmini Dwarkadis, Rukmini Dwarkadis. 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Śrīla Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Śrīla Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Śrīla Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaur Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaur Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Gaur Haribo. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Gaur Haribo. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Jaya Vishnu Pai Paramangzori Bhadikacharya. Hastar Sri Srimad Divine Grace of Bhai Charnarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. Come be with the founder, charger of Divine Grace, Śrīla Prabhupāda ki Jai Om Vishnu Pai Paramangzori Bhadikacharya. Asatara Sri Srimad Divine Grace, Śrīla Bhakti Santa Maharaj. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki Anand Gori Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se Gaho se Krista Chetam Ramritananda Shri Vedic Radha Shivasri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Sri Radha Krishna Gogopada Shyam Guru Radha Kun Giri Govardhana ki jai. Shri Vrindamadar Dham ki jai. Shri Maya Purnavani Dham ki jai. Purushottam Shatri Jagannath Puri Ram ki jai. Udvarka Dham ki jai. Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish ki jai. Shri Gangamai Janamai ki jai. Bhakti Revedasi Maharani ki jai. Hey Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Mrihat Mridanga Chansala Bhakta Shri Bhushan ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the sum of the Buddhis. All glories to the sum of the Buddhis. All glories to the sum of the Buddhis. Glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.